Hey guys, this is Al. It's been a close to 4 months since I last posted, so it's been a while. Been pretty busy with work, also doing a little bit of tinkering around the shop, but I haven't been posting any videos. Really, most of the work that I was getting involved with is on the Bentley, trying to put that thing back together again. Just took a lot longer than I expected it to take. And then just going through a series of other cars and just going through their fuel pumps. I mean, everything in the shop sits so long that the fuel pumps go bad. So I'll walk around and kind of give you a quick update on all the cars that we've been tinkering with. My other focus is I've been working on my other building. So I have a building across the street from this one. That's a smaller building. It's like 3,200 square feet. And my goal with that building is to turn it into just a garage, right? Nothing that you'd work on, just a nice clean place to put my cars, have a little office, stereo, TV set, and just be able to relax and kind of enjoy the cars and pull them out easily, park them easily, rather than having to do what I have to do over here, which is, shuffle all these cars around because I only have one door and, everything's kind of off at an angle. So to get the second or third row out takes about an hour to do, and I don't like doing it, so they end up sitting, and then the fuel pumps go bad. So got lucky, we've been working with the city for the last, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, trying to get permits for this place. Actually, closer to 2 years. We started on the permit process before COVID. But eventually they've given us the permit, so we started the framing of the office space. We're going to have about 400 square feet of office space, bathroom, shower there, and the rest of it, 2,500 square feet or so is going to be just for car storage. So, I'm hoping that I can put like 10 cars in there and easily be able to get them out, just be able to pull them straight in, straight out, straight in again. And then that way I can, go out and enjoy these cars. I spend more time working on them than I actually do driving them. But enough of that. Let me show you a couple of things I've been doing, and I'll give you an update on the cars at the same time. All right, so this is my new old 2000 E55 AMG. I bought this car in, I think, 2016. My brother was coming to visit. He's a medical doctor, and he was studying for his USMLEs. So he wanted to basically spend some time in the States. I bought this car for him. It was an auction car, cosmetically not in great shape, but the engine is just phenomenally strong. And I had my own 2002 E55 at the time. And I figured this would be a good car for him because I know the car and I know how to work on them and all that good stuff. So I bought it for him. We changed the radiator, did the engine mounts, control arm bushings. What else do we do? Shock absorbers, put tires on it, which were these horrible brand tires that I shouldn't have bought, but I just wanted cheap tires, new tires on it. And pretty much that was it. He drove it for maybe about 10 or 12,000 miles, and then he went back home to England, got married, had a kid, and it's just been sitting in the back of my shop since about 2017. So he came to visit recently, and we got around to talking about this car because it had been close to 5 years since anyone's really driven it. It was covered in dust, and I asked him, I said, what do you want to do with this car? He was like, well, really, I can't do much with it. He was kind of debating importing it back to England, and I was like, you've got to be crazy. It's not worth it. You can buy a much nicer car over there in England. You can probably buy a wagon over there for about as much money as it would cost you to bring it to the UK. So we ended up working out a deal and bought it back off him. So I've been going through this car slowly. When I pulled the car out, obviously, it was sitting in 5-year-old gas. It ran terribly. The AC doesn't hold any charge anymore, so it leaked over the 5 years. the body is rust free, but it's got scratches all over it. You know, it was like that when I bought the car. It's got nothing to do with me or him, but it's not in the best shape, and the interior is also pretty rough. But overall, I mean, the car is mechanically in good shape. You know, I'd had to bleed the brakes because they were a little bit. You know, the pedal was hitting the floor. The brakes were functioning, but the pedal was hitting the floor. And when I did bleed the brakes, the fluid was just so nasty, and it was, you know, full of water. So we just flushed the whole thing. But put it through the inspection, and it passed, no problems. And I'm actually about to drive it home today for the first time. But it needs seats, and it needs a headliner, and a couple of other things. But you know, this is going to be my backup daily driver. I used to own an 02 E55, and it got T-boned, and I still have the car. I mean, it's in the back over there. One day I want to fix it if it's feasible to do it, you know. It's definitely going to need a quarter panel. It's going to need a bunch of other stuff. It's going to need to be put on a frame machine because it's bent pretty badly. The driver's side rear wheel is cracked from the impact where I hit the sidewalk when I got T-boned. Airbags deployed on the curtains, but you know, maybe I can get it back on the road again one day. Who knows? The other car I've been working on is this guy. This is my 1988 Euro 560 SEC. So I pulled this into the main part of the shop about 3-4 months ago. Put a fuel pump on it because the fuel pump was dead, and parked it there for a while. And then when I went to start it again, the fuel pump was dead. So it was the other fuel pump. So ended up basically replacing the fuel pump. Had to replace one of the hoses on the fuel distributor, the one that feeds the fuel distributor. So I put a replacement hose on there. The wheels and tires were shot. So luckily I had a spare set of Lorenz's sitting at the shop there. Tires on them were like, you know, 10-year-old tires, so I just put new tires on it. But they drive completely different. I mean, the car used to have a death wobble when I used to drive it, and it's amazing how good tires can make a difference, because I took it to the tire shop and it was doing the death wobble, and you know, they mounted the new tires on and it stopped. It does need ball joints, and it does need idler arm, pitman arm replacement. But you know, we did a lot of work to this car about 5 years ago, and then we just parked it, you know, and you know, some other projects got in the way, and we just got busy with other things. But you know, we went through, we replaced the dash, put this crack-free dash in place, resealed the HVAC box, replaced all the vacuum pumps, you know, the vacuum canisters, the interior in this car. So let me tell you about this car. So I bought this car about, I think, 2009, and it was a Euro 560 300 horsepower car. And you know, back then these cars were still, you know, pretty new. They weren't, you couldn't import them, so you couldn't get them from Japan or anything else like that, because they were still under 25 years old. And you know, I found this one, and it was in terrible shape. The paint was horrible. The interior looked like somebody reskinned the seat leathers in this grey vinyl and blue fake crocodile skin interior, or fake ostrich skin. That was what it was, fake ostrich. And it was just hideous. And I went out to look at the car, and you know, it wasn't in good shape. And the guy just, you know, who had the car just kept on going about how it has such a good stereo in it. You know, that's all he could talk about. And I'm like, you know, I don't care about the stereo. You know, so I made him an offer. You know, it was a pretty low offer, but it was what I thought was worth. You know, and didn't hear from the guy again. Maybe about 6-7 months later, car shows up again in Houston, and I emailed the guy again, and this time he said it wasn't running. I was like, no wonder. So I emailed the guy again, and I was like, hey, I looked at this car when it was in Dallas. This is why I thought that this car was worth what it was worth. You didn't sell it to me at the time, and if you still consider the offer still stands. He asked for my number, I gave him my number, he calls me. Different guy. He tells me that he sold the car to a buddy of his on a owner finance kind of deal, and he was kind of surprised that the guy was trying to sell it from under him, but he had to repo the car, and that's why it's back in Houston. But if I wanted to buy it, then he'll drop it off for me. He used to work on the oil fields, and he was heading up towards Oklahoma, so he was going by Dallas, and he said that he'll just pull it on the trailer and bring it to me, and he did, and we did the deal, and we closed on the business, and I got the car. It turned out the crank position sensor was bad on it. Replaced crank position sensor, did a basic tune up, and the car ran fine. AC never worked. Interior was trash, but luckily, shortly after that, we had cash for clunkers, and these cars started showing up in the junkyards everywhere, for a period of time. So I was able to find a nice pair of late model leather seats, front and back, and we scored this dash from a friend who was parting out a car, so I ended up getting this dash from him, and I eventually painted it. It's not the best paint job, and obviously it's had some, I don't know, shelf wear, do you call it, just from sitting in the back in the shops. These cars they don't get any justice being in the shop, but it's a very presentable car right now. It's a very good looking car. And in honor of the first guy that tried to sell me it, I have a bass speaker in there. So this is what I've been working on. And I actually just drove it, maybe for the first time in 5 years today. Just taking it, filling up with gas, taking it to the tire shop and everything else like that. So it drove pretty well. It definitely needs ball joints, it definitely needs a pitman arm, it definitely needs an idler arm, but that's something that we'll take care of in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so the Bentley Continental, mostly back together again now. It runs, it runs okay. The intercooler pump is a little bit noisy, and I'm trying to find a replacement for that. I may end up going, that's the intercooler pump over there, I may end up going with an aftermarket pump from a AMG Mercedes or something like that if I can't get this pump worked out. But trying to find a replacement for that right now. But all in all, it runs okay, and obviously we went through and we replaced all the fuel hoses, all the O-rings, fuel rail O-rings, the seals for the intake manifold runners and everything else. What a pain in the ass job it took. All of 4 months to get it back together again. Between other jobs, right? The kid's been focusing on this, but he's got a day job and he's got other work that he needs to do. So, whenever he had time, he'd get back on this. But we're at a point right now where we're pretty close to putting it back together again. The throttle return spring, one of them decided to launch itself into outer space, so I need to order another one. I don't want to order a throttle return spring from Intro Car and have it shipped over here. It'll cost 3 times as much to ship the freaking thing as it would to buy it. So I'm waiting for something else to show that I need, so I can go and take care of it both at the same time. Then I need to reseal the brake calipers, because obviously the reason that this car got into this wreck was because the brake calipers are leaking. So got to fix that, and then I can take it to a body shop and get the fender replaced and fixed, or repaired and fixed, and whatever I need to do. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this car has any frame damage. It looks like the damage is all up high, but it needs somebody who knows what they're doing to do the job, especially on the bonnet, because this is kind of I don't want anyone to half-ass it, and I got a recommendation from a friend of mine who owns a body shop. He didn't want to do the job, but he said that he knows a guy who can do the work, and I'll trust his opinion and work out a deal with that guy. So that's that car, and then lastly, maybe you guys have never seen this car before, I don't know, but this is my 1988 BMW M5. It's an E28. I've had this car about, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. I bought it off a friend of mine. Real nice guy, we still keep in touch. He's an audio guy, so I kind of have an audio hobby as well that I was just started getting into, and I'm constantly bugging him with stupid questions. But solid body car. Interior is a bit trashed, or at least the front seats are. But if I remember right, the AC was working. When I bought it, it had a rough idle. You know, I knew about it. He disclosed it, and we did a compression test. Found out that the cylinder number 3 had low compression. So right now we're about to pull the head. So that's why everything's on there right now. Everything except for the cams need to come out before we pull the head. So we've got to figure that part out. Or at least the sprockets need to come out so that we can move them out of the way and lift the head with the cams in place. The manual that we've got right now is this 5 Series service manual, but it doesn't really cover the M5, the M88, or the S38 in this case. So we decided to stop where we were right now until we get a little bit more information on how to remove those stuff. But yeah, that's basically what we're working on right now. And between all of this stuff, the Jag is still in the paint room, exactly where it was when we put it back together. I got to figure out the bumper, but then once I figure out the bumper, it's going to be fine. The Jensen is where it sits because the block has a crack in it, and I've got to find another engine, which I think I may have. Yeah, and then lastly, there's my 2005 E320 CDI. It's got into a wreck. I had a UPS truck drive in front of me, and it lost a belt, and I ended up running it over. Obviously, the truck stopped, and I stopped behind it, and that was last August. Smashed my bumper and everything else like that, and I've been wrangling with their insurance company trying to get this thing figured out. So I've had to take it apart just to make sure that there was no additional damage, because they want to. I don't know what's going on with insurance companies these days, but I think that they're taking the liberties, to be honest with you. They want to send adjusters out. They want you to take pictures, and they want to create an estimate based on the face value of the pictures. And even when I sent them pictures showing all the damage, they wrote an estimate that was like a third of what it should have been. So I've been knocking heads with them for the last, I don't know, 8 months, I guess, trying to get this deal settled. And I've taken the bumper off right now to make sure that no additional damage that they didn't account for exists. Otherwise, I'll make them write a supplement. But it seems like the only thing it really needs is a bumper cover, and then whatever damage behind. I think the rebar, the frame that holds the rebar, all the rubber mountings, one of the rocker panels, so on and so forth, all need to be done. So we should be able to get that figured out. But this can stay on the lift for a while until I get the parts ordered, and I'll just drive the E55, which now replaces my S55, which I sold. So I finally, I didn't say. I mean, I'm kind of sad to see it go, but I didn't really need the S55. It was a kind of a complicated car to be a daily driver. I kept on having ABC issues with it. One hose will blow, and then another hose will blow, and then accumulators need to be replacing, and pulsation dampers. Then another hose, and then now, like, I don't know what happened, but it was like leaking out the reservoir, the top of the reservoir, and I just got tired of it, so I listed it for sale, full disclosure, just said, look, it's starting to leak out the top of the reservoir. I'm not sure why. I think it may have had air in the system and that was it. But, I basically gave him full disclosure, and a guy came by. Don't think it was serious when he came and looked at it. He said that he bought a car like a day beforehand. And I think he just wanted to drive mine to compare it against his one. And then when he did drive mine, he's like, this car drives a lot better than the one I bought. So he's pretty much decided that he was going to buy mine and sell his one on. So it worked out. So that's now gone, and hopefully the E55 will be its new daily replacement, or the backup daily driver. This is, this has now become my primary daily driver. It gets an average of 35 miles to a gallon. It pulls like a V8. I get 700 miles on a full tank if I drive slightly gently. If I do a lot of city driving, then it'll come down to 600 miles to a full tank. So that's not bad, 30 to 35 miles to a gallon, even with the gas prices being what they are right now. Pretty happy with that. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Sorry it's taken so long for an update to come along, but we've been busy, and hopefully I should be able to give you a little bit more regular updates going forward. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.